Let's get into the video. AmITheA in the Wild, the Insane Granny Saga, Part 2. I'd like to clear up a few things from my last post. A few people thought that I wasn't taking this situation seriously enough, and I think I came across as a bit blasé and unconcerned about everything. I apologize for this and want to say that I am treating this incident seriously, and do not think it was an innocent coincidence. I know this woman is dangerous, and has always planned to take action. I wasn't planning on just forgetting or ignoring this. I think the problem most people had was that they didn't think the steps I planned to take were enough. For example, I'd always planned to contact both social service and the kids' parents about this and had been undecided about contacting the police. Posting here, however, quickly convinced me that contacting the police was a good idea. Many of you have also expressed concerns about my family, property, and animals. This is unfortunately a bit more difficult as it's not my house, and my parents seem to think I'm paranoid. My dad was the biggest holdout, but after pointing out some of the crap my grandmother has pulled, I swear I will post more about her. This has kind of taken over. He agreed to take a few safety measures that we honestly should have taken regardless of Insane Granny. There have also been a few who don't believe this is real. I completely understand that mentality. It's hard to imagine that there are people out there capable of this, and I get that my randomly stumbling over the ant so soon after the original incident sounds like a convenient coincidence. And the insanity has just continued. I get it. I'd be skeptical too if it weren't happening to me. For some of you, it's even harder to imagine that I would post personal details about myself and another family member. Well, that's what Reddit is, from the just no subreddits to relationships to r. Raised by narcissists to r. tifu, they all contain personal stories. However, I've changed or omitted many things to keep all parties anonymous and yet still give you an accurate retelling of what's going on, so in that regard, yes, you could consider my posts lies. I also have the permission of the kid's mom to make these posts, and the police are aware of them too. I am aware, though, that I am writing words on a screen to you. You do not know me, and you have no way of confirming any of this, and I draw the line at posting more personal details of anyone involved. This includes the video of Insane Granny. All I can say is that this is a very real and frustrating situation that I hope resolves itself quickly. Though if people or our supreme overlords, the mighty mods, want me to remove information or posts or stop updating altogether, that is perfectly fine. So on to the update. All was quiet on my day off, no sign of Insane Granny. Sorry, drama llamas, no feed today. I called the police officer who previously took my statement, and there is nothing they can do about Insane Granny being at the house. He also just repeated what I already knew about trespassing, harassment, and access laws. Sorry, you bumbling hypotenuse. I tried, but it apparently barely counts as an incident, never mind more than one. As far as witness intimidation goes, the law only really protects witnesses and victims when a case goes to court. He also warned me not to try to remove her from the property or set traps, as if she's injured, she can sue. The good news is that it's been officially reported, and I've sent in the video of her trying to open the horse's gate. Social services also know and have assured me that they are still investigating Insane Granny's friend. They wanted to know if it was the friend with Insane Granny, but she doesn't appear on tape. I've pointed them in my mother's direction though, as she can give a description of the other woman. I texted the kid's mom the night I made my last update, and I hawk MIL gets a cookie. Or a stiff drink, if you'd prefer. She was too busy exploding at her husband to reply, but she called me the next day and updated me. The kid's dad is the leak. He categorically denied giving my address to Insane Granny. No, he's not that stupid. He gave it to the social services friend. Moron. Apparently she rang him the day after her little intervention asking for the witness's address, and he just handed it over. I've not met this guy yet, but I already want to kick him in his special place. From what she said, he seemed to be coming around to the fact that Mummy Dearest is a psycho, but obviously there are still problems. This incident has caused him to slip back into his previous delusions. He doesn't believe that she would come all the way out here, and I must be lying to them. So she made him ring Insane Granny and outright ask her if she had been to my parents' place. As she told me this, I was already sending her the video so she could show it to her husband and prove Insane Granny was lying. That never happened. Insane Granny admitted to the kid's parents that she had been at my parents' place. According to her, she went to confront me for lying to the police and to convince me to follow the moral path and save her family. An actual quote according to the kid's mom by redacting my statement. No one by my name lives there. The lady who lived at that address had never heard of me. I didn't give my real address, so I can't be trusted. The kid's mom told Insane Granny that it was my parents' place and I was staying there because of my broken ankle, which had been further injured by her actions. Basically, she defended me, and it turned into a screaming match before Insane Granny hung up. I get why the kid's mom corrected her. I do. But now it's been confirmed that I do live at that address. So she'll probably come out again. Her friend was never mentioned though, and I've sent her the video of Insane Granny, which won't do much good if she's admitting she was out there. They have also had their initial assessment by their actual social service worker, and it seemed to go well. They'll be in contact soon. I honestly can't figure out what Insane Granny's plan is here. I'm very suspicious of her immediately admitting to being at my parents' place, unless she noticed the cameras and figured she'd been caught. It's possible they weren't exactly hidden. A few other things I've done since Insane Granny's visit. I moved some of the security cameras to cover the front of the house. Well, this is a lie. Actually, my dad did that. I was just there. They're pretty well hidden, so if Insane Granny and her mysterious friend do get wind of the fact that she was caught at the gate and decide to visit again but avoid the gate, she should be caught at the front of the house. At the very least, we'll get the car license plate. Bonus, Scottish laws say nothing about having to sign a post that there are cameras about, as they only aim at our property. The foal has been moved. Now, this was going to happen anyway. We're starting to wean her, get her used to a few things, like her head collar, lead rope, the farrier, etc., and get her socializing with other foals. Unfortunately, the mare is still in there as it's coming into winter now, and we don't have anywhere else suitable to put her. I'm not overly worried. She tends to keep her distance from strangers, so there is not much more we can do with her. I also did something I maybe shouldn't have done. I lifted Insane Granny and her mysterious friend's prints from the gate and the window. For a whole heap of reasons, these will never, ever stand up as evidence in court. If anything ever gets to that stage. I don't really know why I did it. They can't be used in any official capacity, but there you go. Update 7. So I had an interesting few days. To the total and utter shock of exactly no one, Insane Granny showed up at my parents' place again. I was there alone and heard the doorbell, but not the car pulling up. I answered the door, and Insane Granny was standing with another woman who claimed to be from social services. I suspect this is the elusive social services friend that has been helping. She wanted to interview me about the original incident and my police report. I didn't let them into the house and told social services lady that there was no way I'd give her my statement with Insane Granny present. She shouldn't even be here, and I should have been contacted before she randomly showed up. Social services the lady then backtracked a bit and said that it was just a friendly, unofficial visit to discuss redacting my statement to the police. Before I could react to that, Insane Granny opened her mouth and asked in a sickly sweet voice, "Why won't you let us in the house? Is it because it's full of drugs? You what?" I know she's been telling people this, but that was rather on the nose. I ignored her and told them both to leave while she tried to peer around me and into the house. The social services lady kept pushing for an unofficial interview and then said they could wait while I tidied away the drugs if it made me more comfortable. At this point, I realized they were both completely insane, and I probably wouldn't be able to reason with either of them, so I asked them to leave again and told them I would call the police if they did not comply. Not exactly a bluff, I would definitely call them. It's just that I know that there is absolutely nothing they can do, but I was hoping the threat of it would make them leave. Then Insane Granny opened her mouth again and asked me, "How much do you make working as a W?" She was oddly calm when she asked these questions, like she was asking me about the weather. It was creepy as F. I assumed she wanted a big reaction from me to make me look like the crazy one. She didn't get one. I just blinked at her and took out my phone to call the police. I didn't even manage to start dialing before social services lady said they were leaving and asked me when I'd be available to give my statement to her. I told her if social services wanted to interview me, it would be by a different social worker and would be at my place of employment. Then I gave her my business card. That shut her up, and she started to walk back to her car. Insane Granny, however, wasn't happy that social services lady wanted to leave. She suddenly went from creepy calm and sweet to screaming at me. She had a proper tantrum too, stomping her feet and flinging her body around. She even started kicking one of my mom's planters repeatedly. I don't know if she was trying to break it or kick it over, but she just kept ramming her foot into it while screaming that I'm a lying little bee, taking her baby away from her, scum, trying to ruin her life, just like the kid's mom. A W in a slot. I just turned around, went into the house, and closed the door on her. I could see from the window that social services lady had pulled Insane Granny back to the car. They sat there for a few minutes talking before Insane Granny just lost her SHD in the car. I have no idea what she was saying, but she was banging her fists on the dash and throwing herself about. The car was actually shaking. 2 minutes later, they pulled away, and I have the entire episode on tape. I called the police officer I've been dealing with and met with him yesterday to report this and give him the tape. This definitely goes down as an incident of harassment, and I've spoken to HR at work, who are setting up a meeting for me with a solicitor. I've also complained to social services again and updated the kid's parents. I also saw on the tape that before they rang the doorbell, they went snooping again, not near the horse this time, but looking in the windows again. I'm not sure what will happen with this. I'm hoping social services lady has come to her senses and dumps Insane Granny's arse, or she tries it at my work, which won't go well for her at all. Update 8. So I only found out about this today, and I'm writing it up in the middle of a staff meeting, so bear with me. I called the kid's mom on the way into work, and it just all came out. She was too upset, and it's too early in the process to answer a lot of questions. So basically, I know what you know, or are about to know. Firstly, I met with a solicitor through work. I've had to do it this way in case Insane Granny attempts to approach me while I'm at a crime scene. He doesn't think there is enough for a non-harassment order, but he's going to try anyway. We've put a few safety measures and deterrents in place that I'm not going to mention here, just in case. I called the kid's mom this morning to update her on my solicitor, and she gave me an update on Insane Granny. Oh boy, is she living up to her name. She called the kid's dad while he was at work last week and left a series of ranting messages. Most were about how she was done with all the petty fighting, how everything was the kid's mom's fault, how he never should have married her, etc. In one, she told him she was putting her foot down, that they were leaving, and that he should meet her at the airport as soon as he left work. He, in what I assume is a very rare moment of intelligence, completely ignored her and instead went home after work. Any bets as to what he found when he got home? If you guess a wide-open front door and a ransacked house, you win a cookie and a stiff drink. If you guessed Insane Granny packing his clothes and belongings into suitcases, you win 2 cookies and a double shot of your stiff drink. If you guess all of the kid's clothes and toys packed into Insane Granny's car along with the actual kid, you win 3 cookies and a triple shot. If you guessed all of the above, congratulations. You won a bakery and a pub. Yep, Insane Granny was still on the pickup list for the kid's nursery, so she'd packed all her stuff, nicked the kid, used the hidden, spare key to get into the parents' house, packed her sons' and granddaughters' belongings, including their passports and birth certificates, and loaded up the car with the intent of heading to the airport and leaving the country. I'm not sure what the kid's dad's reaction was, but he did call his wife and tell her she didn't need to pick the kid up from nursery. When she told me this, I believe my reaction was, oh, how effing thoughtful of him. Then I rolled so hard that they fell out and I lost them, so if you see them, I'll pay for shipping. Anyway, kid's mom heard Insane Granny in the background of the phone call and got the story out of him. I think you've all probably heard her roaring when she found out Insane Granny's plan. She immediately called the police while she was on her way home. The kid's mom pulled up before the police did, and she immediately got her kid out of Insane Granny's car. When she entered the house, Insane Granny lived up to her namesake and went insane at her. I wasn't given details about what she said, but there is apparently a lot of screaming about the kid's mom stealing her baby and ruining her life, etc. I've got no idea what the kid's dad was doing at this point. The police arrived, and Insane Granny instantly shut up and became all sweet and calm. The police separated the kid's mom and Insane Granny to take statements, and once again, Insane Granny lied to them. She claimed that the kid's dad had let her into the house and that she was helping him move out as the kid's parents were divorcing. I think she was expecting the kid's dad to just roll over and go along with her like usual. Instead, he just looked really defeated and told the police, no, that's not what happened. So Insane Granny was arrested for theft by housebreaking, which is basically breaking and entering. But Scotland is a special little snowflake and doesn't have breaking and entering. Instead, we have housebreaking, which isn't illegal unless there is also intent to steal. We also don't have burglary. Instead, we have robbery, which is theft with violence or the threat of violence, and theft, which is, well, theft. The kidnapping rules are also weird. England and Wales have kidnapping laws, but Scotland has abduction laws and plagium laws. None of them count in this situation, as Insane Granny technically still had permission to pick up the kid from playgroup, and she took the kid to her primary residence. Yes, she planned to leave the country with her, but the fact that she planned for the kid's dad to come too counts as having parental permission to take the child out of the country, as technically the kid would be in her dad's custody. Regardless if this was by design or not, she's very good at just skirting the edge of illegality and dancing about in the legally gray area. Anyway, she was charged and then released on bail, so she's still out there. Kid's dad seems to have seen the light, which is good, and they've started cracking down on their security now too. She's been taken off the nursery pickup list. They're changing the locks, security cameras, etc. Oh, and social services got back to them and gave them the all clear. They're not taking their investigation any further. Edit, people are getting a bit pissy about the Scottish plagium laws, so I just want to clear up that Insane Granny bought 3 plane tickets. I'm not sure where to buy them. One for her, one for the kid, and one for the kid's dad. Yes, she intended to flee the country with the kid, but the fact that she planned for or would have had the kid's dad with her means it isn't child abduction. This is true for many countries, not just Scotland. The presence of a parent who still has parental custody and parental rights means it's not abduction. It doesn't make it right or fair, but it's not illegal. Update 9. I mentioned last time that Insane Granny is out on bail. She's electronically tagged, has a curfew, and is not allowed any contact with the kid's parents or the kid. This includes being near their house, workplaces, the kid's school, etc. She's also being charged with a few other things for some of her previous actions relating to me. This means she's not allowed to contact or be near me either. Yay. Personally, I'm hoping this is the end of it, but history has shown I'm not that lucky. The kid's parents are still together, though from what the kid's mom has said, this is only so the kid can have a nice Christmas. She seems to have the same problem that a lot of you here do. She thinks her husband is perfect in every way except for when it comes to pretty much everything regarding his mother. But he's agreed to counseling, so we'll see what happens in the new year. I spoke to the aunt as well. She's completely on the kid's mom's side. She doesn't have anything nice to say about her brother right now. That said, she's been telling me some stories about their childhood, and I'm pretty sure Insane Granny is evil in its purest form. A social services friend has been struck off. I had an interview with their investigative committee, or whoever, and gave my witness statement. She has an interim order, so she can't work in any form of social service at all. I've no idea how long that lasts, but she was found to be a danger to the general public and service users, so I'm hoping for a long time. I'll also be on her Disclosure Scotland list, so I doubt she'll ever work with the vulnerable again. There will be a hearing sometime in the next 6 months or so that I'll be testifying at too. I think that's really it. We're keeping the security cameras around the house, and I'm actually moving back to my flat sometime in the new year, which I'm looking forward to. Final update. Before I begin, I just want to say that I'm well aware that a lot of people don't believe what's going on and think I'm trolling or whatever. After what's just happened on this sub, I'm aware we're all feeling a bit betrayed, and most of us have become a bit more cynical and suspicious of posts. I know, for some of you, it won't be enough, but I've taken photos of my witness citation and my original complaint about social services friend and redacted them worse than anything that ever came out of Area 51. Obviously, I can't prove everything or even have copies of everything, and I'm not going to ask the kids' parents and others for their documentation just to post it here. Okay, so the last time I left you, Insane Granny had been released on bail and wasn't allowed to contact the kid, her parents, or me. She didn't get a chance to contact the kid or her parents, as the kid's mom decided to visit her parents somewhere in England for the holidays. Kid's dad did go with them on the condition that if he, at any time, opened his mouth in defense of Insane Granny, kid's mom would file for divorce that day. They are still together, so he must have shut up. As far as I was concerned, this SHT was over. The only problem I had was that when someone is electronically tagged, they need the addresses of the places they're not allowed to go so that they know not to go there. In my case, this was my parents' place, my main office, and my own flat. Thankfully, my flat has 2 security doors, and I'm never there. My parents had also decided to redo their driveway way before Christmas too. This was something they'd been planning for a while, and decided just to do before they put in a security gate. As a result, their driveway was completely unusable, and the only access to the house was a long, unmarked tractor track that involved a bit of off-roading. Essentially, she couldn't get to me at home, and my workplace is basically a police station, so I was happy enough to think that I would never have to lay eyes on Insane Granny again. Yes, I know I'm a moron. Bail and being electronically tagged barely slowed Insane Granny down. With her son, DIL, and grandchild in the wind, she had no one to turn her insanity on. Oh, no wait, that's not right, she had me. You see, the building I work in is rather big and sprawling. It has multiple entrances and a police station in front of it. As a result, the building also has multiple addresses. Because of my leg, I haven't been driving to work. Instead, my brother has been dropping me off. This has meant that I've been entering and exiting the building through the police station instead of the lab entrance. The police station, which has a different address from the lab. I had no idea, but apparently this meant that nobody was notified when Insane Granny started parking herself across from the entrance to the police station. I never noticed her parked there, nor did I notice when she started following me out to crime scenes. Yep, but it gets worse. Most of you know I work in a branch of forensics that deals with really unalive people. Very few of our cases turn out to be criminal. The main case I was working on at the time was such a case. It was in a rather rural area, with multiple sets of remains found in a place where there should be human remains, just not quite in the situation they were found in. I know, be more vague, OP, but think of something along the lines of a funeral home fire. Nothing suspicious, and you'd expect to find remains in the debris. This was a similar situation. However, unalive humans found in odd situation usually means there still has to be an investigation, just to make sure the remains are who they're supposed to be, that they're all accounted for, nobody was slipped in on the sly, etc. For a number of reasons, it was decided that we would just set up a mobile lab in an isolated building not far from the original scene instead of moving everything to our lab. The building was similar to a town hall, a dance studio, or something. It mostly consisted of one large room with two smaller storage rooms at the back. One room had a fire exit that could only be opened from the inside, and the other had a single door that we were using to get in and out of the building. The front of the building had a set of double doors that led into a small entryway with the toilets on either side, and another set of double doors in front that led to the big main room of the building that I worked in. Both sets of doors were unlocked so I could get equipment in and out. However, when I wasn't moving equipment, there was a police car parked in front of the doors, and the area was roped off with police tape. I swear to F this is all relevant. While this wasn't an active crime scene, I was still working with forensic evidence, which technically belongs to Police Scotland, the crime lab, so I had 2 or 3 uniformed officers on rotation as security. I'm going to name them Officers 1, 2, 3. So there I am, working away by myself, when Officer 1 comes sprinting in, telling me to drop everything and GTFO now. He actually hauled me out the last few feet, as I apparently wasn't moving quickly enough. He dragged me out and around to the front of the building. I think you've all pretty much guessed who was there. Yeah, Insane Granny was outside being insane. Or, more accurately, she was kicking and screaming on the ground while Officers 2 and 3 tried to restrain her. So naturally, I stop walking and start doing my best impression of a fish while my brain nopes the F out, and I vaguely hear the sound of an old dial-up modem as my brain tries, in vain, to reconnect with reality. Meanwhile, she's shrieking like a toddler, and Officer 1 is basically dragging me under the police tape and across the road while talking about getting to a safe distance. Why exactly did we have to get to a safe distance? Because Insane Granny had opened the building's first set of double doors, dumped a few petrol cans and propane tanks in the entryway, and dumped the lot in petrol. The only reason the whole place hadn't gone up in flames was because Officer 3 had caught her walking towards the front door from the right side of the building. When she saw him, she made a run for the front door, but he was faster. When he got to her, she had a lighter in her hands, and he could smell the fuel inside the building. That was enough for him to realize she was actually a threat, and not just some nosy bee, so he took her down and dragged her away. This alerted Officer 2 to the situation, and the two of them tried to restrain her while Officer 1 was sent to get me out. But what was she doing on the right side of the building? Parking her car up against the fire escape so it couldn't be opened. Yep, the bee basically tried to trap me in a building and set fire to it. I'm not going to go into specifics here, but she F'd herself royally by trying to set that particular building on fire. Not only because she attempted to trap people, mainly me, but she didn't know who else was in there inside. But remember when I said it was being used as a mobile lab? Yeah, that meant it officially contained material that was and is still considered evidence in an ongoing police investigation. And she did this all while out on bail, elevating the charges to aggravated and guaranteeing her a prison sentence measured in years. Also to add, a lot of people are asking about what she's being charged with, etc. This incident happened before Christmas, and her bail for the original B&E charge was immediately revoked, and she was denied bail for her second set of charges. In Scotland, if you're denied bail, your trial has to happen within 110 days. So the trial happened pretty effing quickly. She is currently in prison. I'm not giving a list of charges, but yeah, they were serious. I'm also not giving her an exact sentence for the same reason, but I will say that it was for over 3 years. Kid and kid's parents were told about this incident the day it happened and were at the trial. They're still together. Kid's dad apologized to me a few times, and he's no defending his mother anymore. I hope this has cleared up a few things. TLDR. OP saves a child from running into traffic after being bullied and released by Granny. Granny gives a false police report to get custody of said child. The Opus has a chance encounter with the child's aunt and offers to be a witness. Granny turns up at OP's home with a social services friend and threatens them. Granny tries to flee with the child, but gets caught and arrested. Granny is let out on bail ahead of the court trial. Granny breaks into OP's work building, pours gasoline everywhere, and gets caught trying to light it. She ends up in prison. There have been no other posts from OP about this particular MIL since, so hopefully this was the end of it. Thank you for watching the video.